Hi Mochi! What is up? My next video is gonna be about her. Little known fact about me, I have an obsession with cute pajamas. Just like a good PJ set. I'm eating it up. I've yet to make my own though, so that's what this video is gonna be about. I've been really into the boxer short look lately and it looked pretty easy to make. So I bought some pinstripe fabric glue, and a really thick elastic band. I got all this stuff for pretty cheap at Joann Fabric because they were having a sale, but on the Joann website, you can only buy a minimum of 2 yards of fabric, so after the shorts were done, I ended up having a lot left over. And you know, that's when it was settled. I needed to make a matching top. So I got this rough shape by tracing a pair of pajama shorts I already own and like. But when cutting, I added a bunch of extra inches to the inseam and then up top as well. So I could have this thick folded over hem at the bottom to add that boxer vibe, and then up top I'd have enough room to have a thick channel for the elastic. I kind of like the thick hem look here, so I'm just folding over the bottom twice and then gonna sew along this top edge. I then turned these 4 panels into shorts by first sewing down the side seams and then down the middle seam in one big arch. And that's what it looked like after. I then measured an elastic to the size of my waist and then sewed a channel along the top to feed that into. After sewing that all up, the shorts were done. Shorts are pretty easy, so I didn't include that much instruction, but let me know if you have any questions. I wasn't able to sew for the next few days because I was having a beach sleepover with my best friend, but all I could think was how many good grand reveal locations there were here. Like, imagine on the beach or by these flowers, but yeah, I wasn't able to get the top done in time, just the shorts. This was so fun. I miss my best friend. Why does school have to exist? But then I got back home and I started on the top by cutting out a shape that looked like this. I was holding the pieces up to myself to make sure they would fit, and yes, I was cutting everything quite loosely here because this fabric was not stretchy at all. I then sewed all the panels right sides together and clipped the corners to make turning it inside out easier. Here I was deciding between the 2 seams for the cups, either that one or gathering, and I ultimately decided on gathering. After sewing the mountainscape shape panel to the rectangle panel right sides together, the top was almost complete. I just had to hem it up and then also sew up the back. Here is me cutting out some straps for the top, and honestly this fabric was pretty easy to work with because the pinstripes made it really easy to cut and sew straight lines, and also it was quite stiff, so anytime I folded it the lines would show up, and then I would use that fold as a guide for where to cut. I then sewed the straps to the back of the top and pinned them in the front so I could see how long they needed to be, and then sewed all that down, including another dart at the cup area so it would just fit better. If you're wondering why I was using a slightly off-white thread this entire time, well, I have a plan. Also, I was running out of actual white thread, and this is easier to see on camera. I was planning to put bows on these 3 places and then also behind on the back of these straps, but I ran out of ribbon. So I'm trying to decide if I should just put them in these 3 places or like have this be a little asymmetrical moment, or maybe do a bow here, on the back there, and then one on the leg. I really don't know. Okay, after a little deliberation, I've decided on the back of this one strap and then 2 on the legs. The reason I chose this configuration is because the front is already pretty busy, so I didn't think a ribbon needed to be there. And just like one on the back is kind of cute, kind of subtle. With the bows glued on, the pajamas were done, but you're gonna have to wait for the grand reveal because I had a lot of scrap fabric left over, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to show some things you can make using very little fabric. You only need like a few inches of fabric to make reusable cotton rounds. I actually got this idea after seeing these $18 cotton rounds at a beachside store. So I'm just using 3 layers of fabric and then gonna zigzag stitch all around the edges because I don't have a serger. I only sewed 6, but I plan to make more when I gather more scraps of fabric in future projects. They did work well at removing makeup, but they did feel quite rough on the face because of the type of cotton that I used. But overall, would recommend making these. Now the second thing you can make out of scrap fabric is a dog handkerchief. The amount of fabric you'll need obviously depends on the size of your dog, but I have quite a small dog, so this entire strip is like maybe 7 inches long. You're just gonna need 2 pieces of fabric with this hexagon shape. The handkerchief will be reversible, so it doesn't matter that these are 2 different patterns. So after sewing up the straight sides, I flipped it right sides out, and then I like brought the opposite corners together and sewed those down, leaving a small gap. And then I flipped everything through that gap, and it somehow left me with this reversible handkerchief situation. I didn't show it when I was making it because I wasn't sure if this was even gonna be correct, but it was, so yay! And now I'm just gonna sew up this little gap. To use the handkerchief, you just slide it onto a collar, and ta-da! She has a cute little collar on. How do you like it, Mochi? What are your thoughts? You want me to leave you alone? Never. We can match now, Mo. How does that make you feel? Okay. Another thing you can do with fabric scraps is make a scrunchie. This is something I do pretty regularly, so I have like matching scrunchies to the outfits I make. Honestly, you could make this rectangle a lot smaller. It'll just make the scrunchie smaller too, so it's all for personal preference. But I'm trying to make a pretty like thick, voluminous scrunchie. I would show you the scrunchies I've made, but I give them away as gifts a lot, so I don't have any on hand. But any like cute small scrap of fabric I have, I usually turn it into a scrunchie. Cut a piece of elastic to like wrist length. Then secure your elastic to one end of the scrunchie tube, and then bunch up the scrunchie tube to pull the elastic through. If your tube is smaller, you'll probably have to put a safety pin on both ends to pull it through. Not the cutest seam, but when it's all scrunched up, you can't really tell. Dang, I did not even realize it'd be this wide.